Wog! Welcome back to The Red Ones Go Fasta. I'm Old Big Mech, and today we are indeed going to Wog because we're gonna go crump some gits. That's right, playing my first game of 10th edition today. I've done a deep dive into the rules, got my Leviathan box and all the data cards and all that stuff, along with the rule book, everything on the app. Been really reading the rules, getting a hang of it. Now I'm ready to actually put all this theory down on the table, see where it takes us. So this is going to be my first game of 10th edition. I'm going to bring you guys along because there's 1,000 of you now. So thank you very much to all 1,000 of you gits that decided that I was funny enough or informative enough to follow this channel. So I really appreciate it. So got the army all packed up. Let's head down to the game store. All right, we're here at the friendly local game store. Here to meet my buddy Ken from our local 40K gaming group for the game. I wanted to run through my army list real quick because I wasn't sure I was going to have time to do it once I got in there. But basically, I've got a little bit of a mix of everything because I'm just trying to try the rules out. So I am bringing part of the fortress. I am bringing one Mech Boy workshop just to see what it's like with setting it up and see what it's like as far as fixing the vehicles, all vehicles within 12 inches, to get that D3 wound recovery every turn. So looking at that, looking at the cover, I am bringing a boss head, the Big Ed Boss Bunka, and a big mech with shock attack gun to go in it. Again, that's something to just sit in the backfield and kind of screw around with things. I got a party truck, so that's a truck with some knobs in it. And I got another one that's got mega knobs with a war boss and mega armor. I got a big honkin' Boyz squad, the 20-manner with a war boss and a knob with wah banner to try that out. Got a couple of mechs to help fix the vehicles. I got a Morkanaut, so that's gonna be fun. A couple of trucks. I think that's about, some Def Coptas. Got a couple of Def Coptas for some anti-tank. And that's about it. I'm not bringing any of my normal speed buggies. I think the speed buggies are real weak right now. I didn't bring any normal of my war bikes. I think they're real weak right now. So I got a little bit of close combat stuff. I got a little bit of some more DACA stuff. And I got a little bit of being cunning instead of brutal stuff. So we'll see which one of those actually sticks. So let's grab the army, head inside.
I will often, I mean, I drink coffee every single day, but...
If it's in Gotham City, then sure. It's totally on.
It is Marvel, or not Marvel, Crisis Protocol, so...
So it could be just, you know, a shitty city.
Okay. He loves on this side. Like he collects it all. And so, like, and he was just showing me the Galactus that you get in it. And the Galactus was on the side. Like,
All right, so we've got the Mech Boy workshop deployed out here to the edge of my deployment zone and then back toward my deployment zone to help keep any deep strikers at bay and give me the maximum 12-inch range. Of course, it's some orc on orc action.
Tony's in there.
The 7-year-old's involved in a war.
All right, it's a couple days later. I got my butt kicked, but I learned a bunch of things, not just about playing the game and 10th edition and orcs and how everything works, like theory versus reality, but also in filming. So I'm sure you guys have noticed that most of my videos are like handheld with camera. Right now I have a tripod mount, so that is brand new. I didn't have that for the game, but it would have been useful. The other thing is when you're playing in a game store, even if you're the only ones in there playing, as you could hear in the background and stuff, there's still people in there and they're talking and things are happening. There's music going on. You don't get copyright striked or anything like that. So it's really hard to film any kind of a battle outside of like your own home or studio space or something like that, unless everybody knows it's going on, or you just turn off all the audio and then do voiceover later, which I haven't quite figured out how to do yet, but I am working on it. I've realized that there are definitely some areas for improvement. So all that out of the way, deepest apologies for not a whole lot of footage of the actual battle, but talking about how it went. So We did the 10th edition, draw the cards, play the mission, play the primaries, play the secondaries, all that. Went well. It's a lot more easier to follow than the 9th edition cards and missions were, except for the whole gambit thing. I understand it, and like it's cool, especially for like a more friendly game. Just a little weird. The other thing that was a little odd is a lot of the mission parameters, right? They want you to be in deployment zones, but a lot of the deployment zones are very funky. The one we played was the table quarters, but minus the circle in the middle, and so there became this point of like, do I have a unit within your deployment zone, but where's the circle, where's the zone? Because you lay it all out when you set up the game, but then you take it all down. It's not like it's on the board or anything like that. So there could be some confusing times when it's time to like look at victory points, just because there's not stuff on the battlefield to mark that out. So that was about the only thing we discovered there. The core rules themselves went really nice. Definitely some awkwardness with orcs in particular with calling the WOG, because you have to call it at the beginning of the game round, not your turn round, and I went second. So it was super easy for my opponent to be like, okay, like starting my turn, it's the round of the game, I'm calling my WOG. And for me, it's like, oh shoot, I have to call it right now and hold it through your turn if I'm going to be charging this turn. And so that was just a bit of a thing. It was really important to remember because I had that 20-man blob with the war boss and the knob with WOG banner, and you have to call that at the same time. So he knew that one whole unit was going to run out. I really hope they adjust that to be your turn, because otherwise, man, that one's really, really, really awkward. But yeah, let's get into it. So how did the army work? Well, Death Dreads could put in some work, man. That 2+ save and toughness 9 that they have, especially when you're within 12 inches of the Mech Boy workshop and you get to recover a D3 wounds every turn, that's good. That's real good. And man, they could tear it up in combat. They got some survivability. Not too many points. Definitely seemed like a good deal. The Killicans, they move a little faster now compared to before, which is nice. But I don't know. Kind of C tier for me. 6 of one, half dozen the other. The Big Mech and Shock Attack Gun is useless. So the whole point of it, right, is that you can force a battle shock test. Here's something else we learned, right? I'm going second. I shoot his unit. I score at least one hit. Now they're battle shocked, right? Immediately, now it's his turn, and it's the next battle round. Well, if the unit is not below half, it's just automatically out of battle shock. So it did nothing. It tied nothing up. It's so situational. You would have to literally have where he has one unit on an objective that specifically scores at the end of round instead of beginning of round, that you're not contesting or anything, that the big mech can see and can shoot at to battle shock them so they don't have OC. That's a lot of points and a lot of what ifs for a whole lot of nothing. Damage wise, he was useless. He did nothing. The other thing is that you can't stick him in the big Ed boss bunker and have it do any good whatsoever, because it's transport and it's a vehicle. And so once you put him in there, he loses that ability, because that ability is in his profile, not the weapons. And of course, any time anybody is in a vehicle now, the weapon now becomes mounted on the vehicle, and all of the abilities of the actual unit or character are gone. So the boss bunker, completely useless. The shock attack gun, completely useless. Mechs put in work, man. For 45 points, having a mech follow your big stuff around and repair them and give them +1 to hit is awesome. Except they're not very fast. And if somebody does decide to do a charge or pilot on stuff, they can get wiped. But mine both survived the battle. Did a lot of work, especially with the Morkanaut. A Morkanaut and a mech, man. That can throw some dice. The Morkanaut still seems like a lot of points for what it does, and you definitely don't want to get it in combat. But if you can keep a Morkanaut kind of back a little bit with a big mech, or not a big mech, a regular mech, and then the Mech Boy Workshop, man, every round I would just heal right back up to the 20 wounds until he finally had to come at it with 2 full squads of Squig Hog Boys with knobs, doing all their anti-vehicle stuff, and a unit of 10 Mega Knobs. And even then, or no, was it Mega Knobs or regular knobs? Might have been regular knobs. I think it was regular knobs. But even then, the Morkanaut took out 6 of the knobs in one swipe, and yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So the Morkanaut was cool. Trucks are great. Trucks are fantastic for their points. Every Orc army should have 5 or 6 trucks in it, I think. And other than that, wasn't a whole lot more to be learned. I mostly learned on his army. So the Gretchen CP farm is great. Everybody should have at least 1 squad of Grots. Leave him in the back on your objective and just farm that crap. Toughness 5 Grots in combat are awesome. Like, it makes them kind of sticky on the objective, and so like you really need to shoot at them to get them to run away or something like that. But yeah, you go and charge in, and it takes a little longer to knock them off than you think. So yeah, at least a unit of Grots for sure you should be using. If not 2. The Mech Boy Workshop works fantastic. Our deployment zones, like I said, they were weird. It was a table quarter, but minus this huge circle in the center, and then with all the terrain out there, we were really backed up. And I'm like, man, I got a Morkanaut and a Death Dread and all of these big units, a boss bunker I got to put down, right? And all of this stuff has to be so far away from the terrain and whatnot. So what I ended up doing is actually lining my deployment zone with the walls of the workshop, and then kind of put it centralized, and then I put one of the rubble piles actually underneath the actual like T-bar thing, because it doesn't say how close everything has to be, just how far apart it can be, and it fits under there all perfect. So I just like kind of jumbled it all up in the middle. But one thing I did do that was really smart is again the deployment zones. You have the circle, you have the 2 lines, and then it goes with the square here, right? And so I have the shop kind of like this. I did one leg of it out backwards, and when he brought in his reserves, he's like, all right, I'm going to come in over here. And I'm like, no, you're not. You can't be within 9 inches of this unit. And sure enough, having that little leg come out blocked the entire board. And so it was super useful for that. He wasn't able to kill the wall because he didn't dedicate any shooting to it. It totally screwed up his charges because you can't move within engagement range of a unit. And again, the workshop is a unit. So I think one workshop, like, yeah, I had the whole meme thing about doing the fortress with 3 of them, but like for real, in reality, one workshop, everybody should be taking, especially if you have vehicles. Squad of Grots, everybody should be taken for that CP farm. And then yeah, a 20 boy squad with a war boss and a knob with Wawbanner, man, can do some work. Here was the really cool part. I actually ended up using that squad by itself first and did their little mini wog on the center objective. And not only did they go in and absolutely crush whatever they landed on, but then they had staying power. They actually got assaulted by 5 or 6 different squads all at the same time. But to actually chew through 20 boys before you made it to the characters really made them sticky. And then again, they get the 5+ invul because they're on the WOG. And it was really, really cool. And then plus the whole, the war boss can make them auto pass the first one by the first morale test. What the heck morale tests are called now? By bonking one on the head. So yeah, like there were 19 boys to chew through, right? And when I started getting down there, like started slow rolling for them, right? And then when all the boys are finally dead, then you have to kill the knob, because again, the knob is part of the squad, the regular knob. And then once that whole squad was finally dead, then you had the 2 characters, the knob with Wawbanner and the war boss on their own. And again, super staying power, super hard hitting, really not a lot of points. So highly recommend that one. Other than that's about what we learned in this one. So Ken had a great game. It was a good tune-up for Tacoma Open. That's where he is now. I am not. I've had some things go on with my personal life where now I have a lot more time for stuff like this and a lot less money. I'll let you figure it out from there. But yeah, so I ended up not going to the Open, rooting on all my friends that are there. Hopefully I can bring some stories from them to you guys, do some interviews afterwards. We'll see what I can put together. But for now, That's been our video on my first personal game of 10th, putting a lot of this theory into practice and kind of what we learned from there. So hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm putting some effort into the channel here. Again, thank you so much for the 1,000 subscribers. I super duper appreciate it. Throw me a like, comment, whatever down there. I interact with just about everybody as soon as it happens. So yeah, we'll catch you in the next video.
I gotta figure out how to get up now. Die.